Last episode, we met John McCarthy, the man who invented Lisp, a language where code could rewrite itself. Today, we watch him build the place where that language would come alive. MIT, 1959. A borrowed computer, a converted radar lab, two mathematicians with a ridiculous idea. One invented a programming language. The other built a learning machine in his basement with vacuum tubes. They have no dedicated space. They have no staff. They have a proposal. What happens next will train the people who train the machines that now run the world. Building 26, the research laboratory for electronics, a leftover from World War II. The corridor still smelled like military contracts, oscilloscopes everywhere, serious people doing serious physics. And in one corner, two men with a question most scientists thought was absurd. Can machines think? John McCarthy had been at MIT since 1956. 3 years earlier, at Dartmouth, he had convinced the academic establishment to take seriously something called artificial intelligence. Marvin Minsky arrived in 1958. 7 years before, in 1951, he had built SNARC, a machine made of vacuum tubes that could learn. He built it in his basement. Now they shared an office. They shared a vision. The vision was simple. Machines can think. Let us prove it. The details of early funding are murky. What we know: ARPA was interested. ARPA, the Advanced Research Projects Agency, the same people who would later build the internet. They saw something in McCarthy and Minsky. Not two dreamers, two engineers with a plan. McCarthy would build tools. His language, Lisp, was already running. Now he wanted more. On January 1st, 1959, McCarthy wrote a memo. The subject? Time sharing. One computer, many users, each thinking they have the whole machine to themselves. It sounds obvious now. In 1959, it was heresy. Computers were temples. You booked time. You waited in line. You wrote your program on punch cards, handed it to an operator, came back tomorrow for your errors. McCarthy wanted a conversation. Type a command, get a response, immediately. Minsky had a different obsession. He wanted machines that could see, not cameras, eyes, systems that could look at the world and understand what they were seeing. He had studied neural networks. He knew their promise. He also knew their limits. The laboratory ran on borrowed equipment. The TX0 computer arrived at MIT's Research Laboratory for Electronics in July 1958 on loan from Lincoln Laboratory. The TX0 was special. It was interactive. You could sit at it and type and see what happened. You could debug in real time. For AI research, this was everything. The AI project existed as part of both the Research Laboratory for Electronics in Building 26 and the Computation Center. No dedicated building, no grand facility, a proposal, borrowed equipment, and two men who knew what they wanted to build. The collaboration lasted 3 years. In 1962, McCarthy left for Stanford. He founded the Stanford AI Lab. The field now had two poles. Minsky stayed. The MIT AI Lab became his. 1 year later, everything changed. Project Mac, 1963. A $2,220,000 grant from ARPA, the largest computer science grant ever awarded. Suddenly, there was real money. Tech Square, an actual building. Graduate students who would define the field for 50 years. But that is another episode. Here is what matters about 1959. McCarthy wanted elegant theory. Minsky wanted working systems. Minsky called the relationship collegial. Different styles, different obsessions, same question. Together, they proved you could build a research program around a problem most scientists thought was absurd. Can machines think? Not as philosophy, as engineering. Not someday, now, with the tools we have, with the students we can train. 3 years earlier at Dartmouth, McCarthy named the field. Now he and Minsky had given it a home. A converted radar building, a borrowed computer, two men who started. Next time, the first robot that takes a human job.